We generally trust what our senses tell us. What we see, hear, touch. That's our reality.
Sure, that's the default setting.
But what if there's more? Like layers we just can't normally tune into?
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. We've got this account from a listener detailing some, well, truly extraordinary experiences.
Yeah, experiences suggesting those hidden layers might be closer than we think.
We're looking at two key events here. First, a pretty direct encounter with, well, what they describe as an alien being.
Right. And second.
Second, finding physical evidence, something that looks very much like a UFO landing site.
Wow. Okay. Two very different kinds of encounters.
So our mission, if you will, is to unpack these, look at the details, what they might mean.
And maybe what they suggest about, reality itself.
Precisely. We want to explore it all, driven by curiosity. Keep it grounded but open.
Okay, sounds good. Let's start with the first one then, the direct encounter. Our listener was working for the Navy at the time?
That's right. And the setting was completely mundane, just walking downstairs in the main building, routine stuff. And then suddenly, this being appeared behind them. Just appeared. And the description is fascinating. A mix, they said, of human and reptilian features.
Human and reptilian. Okay, that's specific.
It is. It really makes you wonder about, well, the sheer variety of life forms that could be out there, doesn't it? Beyond our usual assumptions.
Yeah, definitely. And, I mean, the initial reaction must have been fear, right?
Oh, absolutely. Fear was the first thing, but then something else kicked in. This really profound inner sense.
Like a gut feeling.
Sort of, but deeper. A certainty that despite the shock, they were going to be all right. They called it a trust in the fundamental safety of the universe.
Wow. To feel that in that moment, that's quite something.
It really is. It suggests maybe there's a deeper awareness under the surface, something that allowed them to stay present instead of just panicking.
A grounding force. It makes you wonder if that sense of safety is something we all have access to, maybe.
Perhaps. Perhaps we just don't notice it most of the time.
Okay, so then comes the guard. This adds another layer of weirdness.
Right. So the listener and this being are there, and a security guard walks by, looks right at the listener.
And sees?
Apparently nothing unusual. No reaction to the being standing right there.
Nothing. The listener even thought, do you see what I see?
Exactly. And the answer was clearly no. The guard just saw the listener, nobody else.
So what's going on there? Are they in different realities almost?
Well, that's one way to think about it. The source mentions this idea of believing is seeing. Maybe our state of mind, our frequency, determines what we perceive.
Like tuning a radio?
Kind of. The guards tuned into normal Navy building reality, maybe. And the listener in that moment was tuned into something else.
Could our expectations literally filter things out?
It's a really compelling idea, isn't it? That our worldview might actually shape the data we receive.
Okay, this is already pretty mind-bending. And then the being follows them to the car.
Accompanies them right to the car, gets in the passenger seat.
Gets in the car?
Yep. And sits there for about 10 miles while the listener drives.
I can't even imagine. Just driving with this being beside you, silent.
Apparently so. And that's where the regret comes in.
Ah, right. They wish they had spoken to it.
Exactly. A missed opportunity, they felt. A lesson about being ready, to actually engage when the extraordinary happens.
Yeah, I get that. You'd have so many questions.
Oh, absolutely. Where from? Why here? What's the universe really like? All of it.
And the listener perceived the being as friendly,
Yeah.
smiling.
Yes. Friendly, wise, comfortable, almost like it understood the listener's limited perception, maybe. Comfortable in, well, multiple realities.
Which really contrasts with the usual scary alien tropes, doesn't it?
It does. It suggests these encounters aren't necessarily negative or hostile, which then leads to the bigger picture stuff.
Society's view, the whole UFO cover-up angle.
Right. You've got lots of people who, anecdotally at least, believe in extraterrestrial life. But then you have this official silence or dismissal.
Why the disconnect? Why would governments suppress this? Assuming they are.
Well, the source touches on a few possibilities. Shattering the established narrative, right? Forcing humanity to confront maybe not being top dog in the cosmos.
That would shake things up. Economics, politics, religion, everything.
It potentially changes the whole game. It's a fundamental shift.
Of course, you have to consider skepticism. Hallucination, maybe?
Sure. And the source acknowledges that. But it also emphasizes the listener's grounded nature, saying this wasn't someone prone to flights of fancy.
So for them, it was real. Unequivocally.
Absolutely real.
Okay.
And described as wonderful, actually. A confirmation that we're not alone, that life is incredibly diverse.
And it changed them, clearly. Made them resolve to be more open next time.
Definitely. It shifted their whole perspective on what's possible.
Okay, let's pivot to the second encounter then. This happened a few months later.
Yeah, a few months on. And this one's different. Not direct contact, but physical evidence. Or potential evidence, anyway.
Right. This was the walk in the Laguna Mountains near San Diego.
Out walking with family, and importantly, being led by this person, Zoran.
Zoran. Okay. And the listener didn't know where they were going.
No, apparently not. Just following along adds a layer of, non-expectation to it.
Okay, so they're walking for about an hour.
And Zoran points something out. A patch in the forest, a circular area where everything's burnt.
Burnt, like a fire.
Sort of, but the shape was key, a distinct circle. Not the ragged edges you'd get from a wildfire.
A perfect circle. And why is that significant?
Because that specific pattern, a circular burn or ground disturbance, is often reported in alleged UFO landing sites. It's linked to the energy or propulsion, supposedly.
Ah, okay. So the listener knew about this connection.
Yes, they were aware of that pattern, and seeing it there, in that context, they felt certain. This wasn't natural, wasn't man-made. It looked like a craft had landed there.
Wow. Tangible evidence. Something you can see and touch.
Exactly. It brings it down to earth, quite literally. Scholars could probably spin elaborate theories.
But maybe the simplest explanation is sometimes the right one.
The source kind of hints at that, yeah. Sometimes the universe just leaves a physical footprint.
And the fact Zoran led them right there. Coincidence.
Or, as the source asks, was it perfectly orchestrated? That's the intriguing question.
Synchronicity again. Like the universe guiding them.
Maybe. This idea of the web revealing itself. Events aligning to spark curiosity or confirm something you already suspected. Zoran's route might not have been random at all.
Okay, so let's connect these two. You've got the direct sighting of a being.
A personal, perceptual experience.
And then finding this physical trace in the landscape.
Right. Two very different types of experience, but both pointing in the same direction.
Which is?
That we're interacting with non-human realities. That humanity isn't alone, stuck in just our little corner.
There are other beings, other energies, other
us.
stuff out there interacting with us.
Exactly. It reinforces this idea that our understanding needs to expand. There's that quote from Zoran in the source.
Oh, yeah. Read that.
The universe is not just stars and dust, human. It is a vast, interconnected community, and you are just beginning to meet your neighbors.
That's quite a statement.
Yeah.
And for someone curious, someone looking for those aha moments, like our listener,
Yeah.
these experiences must have been huge.
Absolutely huge. A fundamental shift. Seeing glimpses of a much bigger, more interconnected reality.
So thinking about you, our listener, and how you might explore these ideas, Zoran apparently shared an exercise.
That's right. Something practical. It's called the Dragon Trial.
The Dragon Trial. Okay, sounds interesting. What does it involve?
It's actually quite simple. You choose a place you know really well, your home, your street, maybe your office, somewhere totally familiar.
Okay, got it.
And then you observe it, but with really focused attention. Consciously try to look beyond the obvious stuff you always see.
Looking for what?
Subtle details you've never noticed. Unusual patterns, maybe even trying to sense, different energies or feelings in the space. Things that are usually below the radar.
So it's about changing how you look at the familiar.
Exactly. Practice looking at the familiar with new eyes, as the source puts it. Opening your perception to the idea that there might be hidden layers, hidden realities, even in the most mundane places.
It's an invitation to engage more deeply with your surroundings.
Precisely. To actively explore the possibility that the extraordinary isn't just out there, but might be woven into the fabric of everyday life.
So a challenge for you listening. Try the Dragon Trial. Pick your familiar spot, look closer, look deeper. See the familiar with fresh eyes.
Yeah, stay curious, stay open. You never know what wonders might be hiding just at the edge of your normal perception.
You might just surprise yourself with what you find when you really start to look.